Freedom process belongs to all of us. Why am I why am I using it? Why am I focused on it so greatly? Freedom, it's not as elusive as we think. When I say you have your body and you have your breath, what I mean is that this body is technology, not the kind that you plug it in. It's the best technology going that you don't have to plug in. But do we really truly know how to use this? I can't say that we do because there's all sorts of things in the world that are going to distract us from this. And so there's this piece about coming back to self and really understanding how to use this. Why do we do this? Well, I know a lot of individuals that have spent thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get peaceful. And they have had individuals tell them how to do it. They have had individuals that were mentor or guru or on and on and on, teachers. I don't see myself as that. When it comes to the facilitator program, I just want to help you and support you to use the freedom process and know how to find the tensions that are unknown, that are in your body, that are causing you issues. I'm not interested in you doing it the way I do it or you having to have the right information. It's more about you coming into that space where you create an environment where all of those things that you've learned along the way can fall away and get reorganized so that you can hear yourself, that you can hear yourself. Because your information for yourself is way more important than any information I could give you. I can point you in a direction. Lucky me, I'm kinesthetic in my body and I can feel things and when I'm checking in with others. But that's all. It's still coming from you. And freedom process allows us to create this space and create this environment where we can hear ourselves. We can be in intimate communication with our bodies, but we know that we're not just our bodies. Our bodies are something we use to express the trueness of us if we don't have all this other stuff in the way. I always talk about it as like, when you're at the dentist and you have that big lead blanket on you when they do the x-rays of your teeth. How many of us are walking around wearing those all the time? Like it's exhausting. That's accumulation. That's old traumas that you've stuffed somewhere. That's swallowing your words. That's people pleasing, even though you didn't check in to see how you were doing. That is individuals coming at you when you didn't know how to deal with that. That is, old expressions that you've picked up. That's beliefs, etc., from other people in your life that you've adopted. Even you haven't checked them out to see if they fit you. Those are all accumulations. Misaligned thinking that tells you you need to respond this way when maybe you don't, that piles up. How about all the toxins in our bodies? Those pile up. Emotions in our systems that's not moving, all those sadnesses or griefs or even really excited or really happy, if they get caught in our body, that becomes accumulation. So in that moment that you have all that accumulation, how can you hear yourself? It's so freaking loud out here. How can you hear yourself? In this program, we spend the year helping you to create space so the agendas, the accumulation can drop away so you can hear yourself. And then on top of that, it's all about taking this into life. So we come from a place of no agenda. We can actually help other people recognize where the accumulation is stopping them. So it's not just about us. It is mostly priority is us, because unless we're clear, how are we going to help other people get clear? Sorry, you've probably worked with somebody somewhere along the line where you knew they were just a mess and it showed in how they were helping you. That's why we look for clear practitioners or clear facilitators or clear helpers, support people. But this whole idea of freedom process is it belongs to you. I could say that in this moment, if you started breathing into your side, even if you didn't know if you were doing it right, what would happen is gradually things would start moving again. We just get a little more detailed. We just get into it a little quicker so that you can get to that place where peace and passion and knowing what you're called to and clarity gets to show up a bit quicker, a little bit quicker, a lot quicker. And it doesn't have to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars and go sit in an ashram and meditate 24/7 for, 3 years. You get to still do life. It's so powerful to know as facilitators, and there's quite a few facilitators that were able to show up for this afternoon, so we'll hear from them as well. But it's really powerful to know that as facilitators, we don't own the freedom process. What our job as facilitators is to help others to find the tensions, the accumulation, the lead blankets, the pianos tied to the ass that they're not aware of, the things that are in their way. So we help to find the accumulation, but then the freedom process creates space, and we're not healers. That drops away. So all that pressure comes off of us. But first and foremost, we start as our own facilitators. In the program, I encourage you to get involved doing freedom process with somebody as quickly as possible so that I can give you feedback and you can develop as a facilitator throughout the year. But I also encourage you to focus on you too, because you might decide you don't want to be a facilitator, but I'm going to tell you the secret. Secret is you'll always be a facilitator after you've gone through this year. You just may not make it your work because you'll be at a dinner with a bunch of individuals and somebody will be having difficulty and you'll be able to say, hey, what happens if you bring that into your body without any agenda? Because it doesn't matter. But it's just something that happens. And you might not say anything, but because you're coming from this clear frequency, clear energy, it will transfer out into all the people around you. There's a really cool, attractive energy to it. Relationships improve. Your ability to get out of your own way, your health can improve. All sorts of those stuck energies affect how you show up in life, and your health is one of those. So it helps you to get clearer in all aspects of your life across the board, including in seeing what's going on in the world these days. If you can come at that from a clear place, there might be something you can do. If you're not coming from a clear place, it's going to cause all sorts of agitation and you're not going to be able to sleep properly, or you're not going to be able to sit into that space within yourself that is okay. So I've shared, the Freedom Process Facilitator program is about helping yourself or others step across from where you are to where you would like to be, where you're happy, peaceful, passionate, doing what you're called to do. Okay. It really is about stepping it across. I get really tired of individuals in supposedly the same arena that I'm in that say, just let it go. Really? I would have if I knew how to. Or, you're not your body. I'm like, I can feel this thing. What are you talking about? So we go from where we are, step it across. Oh, it's all an illusion. Well, that doesn't work because I live in a world that's physical centric. Okay, so how do I get from here to here where it doesn't matter if it's a physical world? I know I'm playing that game, stepping it across. So instead of asking people or throwing them across the canyon, we step it across so that they can always get back themselves if something sets them back. Okay, so it's about us being our own facilitator first, and then we can take that out into the world if that's what we're called to do. I don't know. The answers come from you. I just show up to ask a ton of questions. Okay, so I'm opening it up right now for any questions, any comments. If any of you practitioners would like to share, please do step in and go for it. And I want to say welcome to Yana. She's going to be playing with us this year. It's so exciting. So it's open. The floor is totally open. Everything is allowed. There's no question that I'm not going to play with. So whatever works for you. Go ahead, Maureen.
Um, there's so many things that I could say about the facilitator program, and I'm not going to get half of them probably in this little this little thing that I'm going to share. But um, it has been just okay. I'll use the word amazing. It's been amazing overall. It's had an amazing and profound effect on me personally and in my work. I've been a life coach for many years. Before that, I was a deep tissue body worker, worked very deeply with people and their emotions and their bodies together. This freedom process has just merged with all of it. It is just informed and served all of my work and my personal life. So the growth has been exponential. It has enhanced my work with my clients. The agenda part alone, just the agenda part alone, the facilitator program has these facilitator only agenda intensives. Just those alone are worth the whatever it costs for the facilitator program, and I came from a place where I didn't have money to devote to things like this. And I the money came, I asked, it came, I signed up for it, and I've never looked back because it has never been a question as to whether the value is there. Because again, it has enhanced every aspect of my life, my work, my relationships, my ability to show up. And it's still unfolding. So the meeting with the people in the facilitated program at the level that we are meeting is amazing. You will be hard put to find that anywhere else, honestly. So real and open and willing and available um, to show up completely as is. No hiding. Um, the freedom process itself has been such an amazing addition to my work. It allows me to take people and invite them into places that or otherwise were very difficult to get to. So my work, I could see where I wanted them to go. There's the agenda where I wanted them to go. And I would be able to see the pieces that they couldn't see. And there would be an offering of what I was seeing. And yet that helped, but it didn't take them to where it existed within them. The freedom process takes it to where it exists within them and lets them discover it with just the prompts that are built into the freedom process. They discover it, and then it's theirs, it's home, it's theirs. They can grow from there. They're not waiting for the next snippet of information from me anymore. And the same thing happens with me. I get to find it here. I'm not looking for the next snippet of information out there. I know how to go in and find it here because of the freedom process. And that's been so amazing. So the group, the information, the knowing that it has brought, the openings, the support throughout for every piece. No question is a wrong question to ask. There is nothing that you can bring here that is embarrassing or shameful or not. The word shame doesn't even fit. Like it shouldn't even be coming out of my mouth right now, because it's just this opening to share freely and to just let everything come forth so that it can all be freed and come home. It's just been this amazing, amazing gift, the facilitator program. And I'm signing up for a second round because it's just been such an amazing, beautiful avenue, support, connection. I know there's more. I know there's more. Continue refining. And this is where I love to meet, because it's the most clear, beautiful, free place I've ever found to meet for this journey, for all of it. Yeah.
Okay, we're done. I love hearing that, Maureen. Because don't you just want to be able to quit hiding? Like, how exhausting is it to hide things you think you don't want anybody else to know? Like, oh, I'm in a bad mood today. Oh, but so and so's coming over, or the in-laws are going to be here, or whatever. So I need to put it away. It's like, no. Hey, really glad you guys are here. Having a rough day. Let's see how it goes. But there's all this agenda and there's all this idea about how we're supposed to be. So we hide stuff, not talking even yet about, the things that have happened in our past that we don't even want to acknowledge to ourselves most of the time. But we create a space for that to happen so that you don't have to be controlled by it anymore, which is super exciting to me. I like showing up full on. Hey, I'm a mess today. Hey, I'm amazing today. Hey, I can't even reach the ground today. Hey, I've just done, it's like, can you recognize how the trueness of you gets to show up, and how that there's like a domino effect. There's like a attractiveness to that. And so the process is beautiful, and it's about you first. You can't show up clear for others if you're not clear in yourself.
Absolutely, Judy. And I would like to add that to this, as far as the way you show up, because the way you show up is so real and so fresh and so unadulterated, and it gives permission to those places in us that we haven't given ourselves permission to show up that same way.
Mm, thank you. That is so beautiful. And you can expect me to cuss every once in a while because it just happens. But thank you, Maureen, because that's something that's really powerful. And as a facilitator, that's how we want to show up, because that in itself is an invitation to others, just like you said, to show up in that themselves. Doesn't matter. Let's meet people where they are and let's help them step across from, hey, my life sucks and I'm super frustrated, or nobody even knows me, or I feel like I'm being completely held back by something that happened in my past and this isn't who I want to be, to, wow, now I'm discovering what it is that I desire, and I'm desiring who I am, and I'm noticing who I'm, and wow, I'm right back there in this amazingly beautiful space that then gets to go out into the world and show up that way.
And you call forth that in us in such a beautiful way. Like the way you show up, you'll call us on our stuff in such a beautiful way. And it's very direct, and yet there's a kindness in it. No matter, there's a kindness, and you give us that safe place to be unsafe, that safe container to show up and be unsafe. So those invitations from you are priceless. They're amazing opportunities, and you do it beautifully the way you call us out, right on every time.
Thank you. There'll be a lot of questions, won't there? Because if We can ask the questions of ourselves and of others. We get to hear them, and the answers get to come up, and then we get to see how it shifts things for us. Because it's not about asking me for the answers. It's about you getting clear enough that you can either hear the answers that are coming from within you, which is really challenging even nowadays because so many answers are being told to us. And I'm saying, stop, just stop. I have those answers within me. And if I can be clear enough, it can come forward. And then I'm actually coming from that authentic, true place within myself instead of those adopted ways that came from others or from society. That's how we bring new into this world, which is okay, let's go, let's do it. And we talk about so many practical things too in the program. And Maureen, I know that's been part of it for you too, because you were already working with individuals, and how does it come into your work and how can you integrate it into your work already? And then how can you use this? And we cover all of that too, because I'm pretty pragmatic, I'm pretty practical. So I like to be able to help with whatever across the board is necessary for you to do what you are called to do. So whether it's you want to work with others or whether you don't want to work with others, either way, you're going to get really clear. And in the process, you're going to get really clear. You're going to be your best facilitator ever. Plus, you have this beautiful network that you get to work with that are there. If you run into something that's a little bigger than what you want to handle on your own, it's beautiful that way.
And that's another thing about the network of women here, of people that show up for this program, is that I have never ever felt like I was imposing on anyone. I've never been given the feeling like I was imposing on anyone if I asked for help or asked for someone to, answer a question for me or reached out to anyone. There's been this amazing generosity from everyone to show up for everyone else.
And it's beautiful too, right? Because the individuals that you ask for help, what have we done? We've encouraged them to check in with their body, whether it's a yes or no. So even if they're not available, it's coming from a really clean place. Or if they are available, it's coming from a clean place. So it's easy to be generous when it's a strong yes in you to be supportive in some way. And if they're not available, somebody else will be, right? So you have this beautiful, we're going with village today, but I don't know if that's what's going to stick, but village of amazing, amazing, wise women that then reach out into the world to support one another and others. I thank you, Maureen. Is there any other pieces you wanted to share before?
The only thing that's still coming up for me, like, is the that what you spoke to, making space to have so the answers can be shown. And then what arose for me is that making space for even the I'm going to use the word right, the right questions to show up for us. So much of that is like the honing in on the question that actually is really going to take us to that place that wants to be met. And we miss that when we have a lot of noise, when all this busyness, there's not enough space. Even the question that's going to take us there can't show up for us. But
Right.
you have done a great job in this program too of offering some really helpful questions to us that then allow us to. It kind of creates like a I don't know what word to use. It gives us a kind of an outline. Like, for instance, how to I can't even think of a question right now, like, show me how I do this, for instance. These different questions that we may not have come across in our lives before, but they're so simple and straightforward, but that opens the door, that gets our foot in, and then we that creates more space, and then the questions start flowing forth. The questions take us to those answers.
Yeah.
So even the creating space creates the ability to have the questions show up.
Well, we really are taking ourselves out of surviving into thriving. When we are thriving, those things can show up for us. We can hear ourselves, and then we can also hear what others are asking for as well. So there's a huge difference between surviving and thriving. We do it sustainably so that you get to the thriving and it's yours. You are fully in ownership of it. And when you're in thriving your whole life, I don't want this to scare anybody, but your whole life shifts. Doesn't mean your relationships have to change or they have to fall away or, the work that you're doing, if that's what you need to do, it doesn't mean that has to fall away, but the way you see it, the way you approach it, the way you live into it shifts. Who you are gets to fully show up. So, how else can we do that other than to be in intimate conversation or intimate relationship with ourselves, which is what we do here?
And this process is gentle so that even as it shifts in a way that's in alignment with this. So that it's not like a shock. Suddenly I'm pushed over a cliff, and I wasn't saying yes to that, it's not like that kind of a shift. It's like a shift that this is moving towards and moving. Yes. Yeah. So it's in alignment with how this wants to move. You constantly remind us we are sovereign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you are.
Yeah.
I see you as divine. Can you see yourself that way? Yeah.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you very much. Okay, Caroline. Caroline's another facilitator that's been hanging with us this last year. Plus, there she is.
Um, let's see, I'll put on this way. Um, well, I'm not, I have a sore throat. I'm kind of crummy today. And, but only in a, in a different way than ever before. I'm not, I don't feel sick the way I used to. I mean, just this alone, you know, I mean, everything you've said is so amazing and so true, Maureen and Judy, and the beauty of the intimate relationship with myself that has developed. And and one thing for me, since I'm quite old, older than anybody else in one way,
In
but
one way, only one, but not
um,
really.
but I just say that because um, I've already, taught meditation, and I've been a spiritual director and all that. I've done that. I didn't come here. I got. I came with Judy actually to kind of get into more with Anthony William, and I mean, if you think Judy is great at this, I mean, this woman is a Leonardo. Honestly, she is expert an expert gardener, a master gardener, a beekeeper, which in itself is amazing. And her experience with body work and with people down to the very detail. And this is where nobody else compares. And as old as I am, I've been with some of the greatest teachers you can imagine. And however, it has never stopped me from looking for outside experts. I never even thought about that so much until Judy pointed it out that here I am a seeker. I'm always looking outside myself. And that was my generation, kind of, women of my generation. Nobody was, you weren't an expert yourself. You couldn't be. You had to look outside, whether it's a doctor, a psychologist, anything. You're always looking outside for expertise. And it took me a long while to cure that addiction of of seeing that I had some value to add, and there was a lot here to look at. And then along with that, you realize that you don't want to have an agenda working with you. How can you have an agenda working with other people when you know yourself? So this is all these little details. You can't imagine the range here. And everyone is different. So you'll all have something new to bring to this beautiful teaching that Judy has, because we all bring a different aspect that's valuable to everybody else. So when you hear any of the other in our group, like Maureen, it's just so beautiful. You learn from everyone. And I mean, there's just so much. I'm kind of foggy brained right now, so I'm not, you know. And of course, I'm somebody that always wanted to please everybody. So that was another addiction I had that I grew up with as a child, all these 80 some years. Pleasing people. Can you imagine the tension that that took? You know, it's always like this, not being myself. Who am I? I didn't even know who I was, honestly. And it doesn't matter how many other great teachers I had. Nobody goes into detail like Judy does. And she doesn't hit you right where you need to. I don't mean hit in an uncomfortable way, because Judy is gentle and loving. And
Mm.
if anybody is loving, it's Judy. You feel such love from her. I mean, I totally, if I've ever loved anybody, my whole life, I love Judy. I mean, I just almost break into tears with how much I love her. And and this is what this work, I mean, I see Sylvia next to me. I love her. I love everybody here. You begin to see with love all these beautiful people and people you're paired with, and you just, I mean, my husband, I love him more. We just have the most beautiful relationship in our whole lives. And all this is due to this teaching, I swear. I mean, there's no way I would have ever gotten to this point. I had agendas up the yin yang, all this stuff I did that I realized, oh my God, what have I? And so, of course, wouldn't this be the best time in my life? Whether I have COVID or whatever I have, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I feel this is the best time of my life. And I can go on and on. And I didn't get in this to teach others, but you can't help but, I'm not teaching, but I'm just being with others and sharing. So any of my family or any friends or anybody I'm with, it just kind of comes out, this beautiful work I'm doing. And this is the work of a lifetime. And I want to continue on taking classes, because who wouldn't want to be in this group? Oh man. I mean, these are the most beautiful people on earth. So that's what I'm sure I think of other things and I'll think, oh, I wish I would have said this, but everybody else will say all these wonderful things. So I love you all.
Thank you, Caroline. That was a hoot. Just so you know, I always say to Caroline, I say 80 is the new 30. Like, go, do, be. It's amazing. Thank you, Caroline. It's for us first. It really is. It's for you to experience life the way you're meant to, the way that's from inside of you, not from finding it from other people, like Caroline's saying. The very most important thing that I'll ever do is work myself out of my work with you. One day you're going to go, okay, I've got this to the degree I've got this. The most important thing for me now is to live my life, because it will continue to give me, I've already got my body and my breath. It will continue to give to me. And all of these intensives and everything, you won't want them or need them anymore. Your feet will go, oh, okay. Now I'm good over here. And I'm sure glad that I get to connect with everybody during our networking time because they're my family. They're way more than family. They're these beautiful divine beings that I've spent a lot of time with. But that is my ultimate peace, is that I work myself out of it because you've got it. And you'll know that. Just like your feet will bring you to this work, your feet will bring you out of this work when it's time for you to take it somewhere else. But not be because you're seeking, but because you're applying, because you're living it, because that living process is in you. Amazing. Okay. Who's next? Caroline brought me to tears, so we've got laughter, we've got connection. It's a beautiful, beautiful space to be. That is one thing I know. Even though it's tough, I don't want to scare anybody away, but there's some challenges in it because you get to face you, you get to know you, you get to see those things you've been hiding that have been hurting you, that have been holding you back, that have been stopping you from showing up as you are, who you are, not what others have told you you are. We drop it all here. In my family, my youngest daughter is probably the one that really has taken to this work. I think she just naturally came in doing it. And we all say, whoa, watch out, because Natalie will pin you to the wall. You can't get away from it. And she's been doing that for a lot of years now. And it's like, whoa, where did that come from? And yes, I know I had a whole bunch of agenda going on there. I will work with it, I promise. It's quite entertaining. She is. She's razor sharp is right. She'll help you though, because she just slices down this whole freaking costume you were wearing, and all of a sudden it's like you're just there, available. Go ahead, Alfie.
I'm not going to say much. Well, I hope I'm not going to say much. I'm not going to say much because I spoke earlier today, but it's interesting listening to other practitioners sharing their experience, because it's making me kind of reflect, oh, do I think that? Or, just, and it made me realize that, when we go and do another course or a program, usually there's like a kind of a syllabus, and we all read that book and we all do that. And whilst this program has basic elements of things that we are at least initially starting off with as kind of a structure to work with people, what I realize is, really it's our own inner shit that we kind of bring to the program that actually is writing the program that we each will experience. And so it's quite a hard thing, isn't it, to convey this is what I'm like, and have able to really hear that, not just because it's my agendas and my energy and my stuff that is kind of gonna write the sort of syllabus of the program I'm going to experience, and how I'm going to sort of graduate from that at the end. And that's the kind of amazing thing. It's like as each part of me opens up, will sort of dictate the next kind of direction. And I imagine as a group that together the things that open up will, kind of be the specific themes or agendas that will come up for clearing in that kind of space that might be completely different from the experience that those of us who've been through the program already. And so it's like a living process, but the course is like a living amoeba as well. It's like, who knows actually what the course will look like in the next year, because it is kind of growing and designing itself as everybody grows and moves and shifts themselves. So that's not really very helpful, because it doesn't really say much at all about what the course was like. But yeah, anyway, that's what came out.
You know, it's so true though, Elfie, because what is yours to work through is a huge piece of what we're doing here, and it always helps everyone else. So, you know, when we're in the program and someone brings something up, they don't feel like they belong, say. And then I'm always asking, how many of the rest of you feel like you don't belong? And almost everybody raises their hand. So it doesn't matter what you bring to it, there's going to be a way that it serves the whole in having that well-rounded, your details, their details, all the details that kind of come together that allow you to show up for others in however they show up. Because that's ultimately what we're doing. And I love the whole living amoeba thing, because we're not locked in. That's not really life. If you look at nature, nature is not that. The ecosystem doesn't have linear borders and linear boundaries and linear anything. It's like things slide in and move together, and it allows us all to develop into, you know, the trueness of us. So it's a beautiful way to look at this whole process. And yes, we have some basic kind of foundational pieces that we work with, but it has to fit and serve everyone that's part of it, because we're all contributing and we're all bringing it together and we're all learning or unlearning based on what each person brings to this space. So we learn to dance with all of it within this space. So somebody like, I'm not thinking of a specific example right now, but say somebody shows up and they just can't figure out what the frick is going on with them. Okay. And they bring the same thing a couple times, and everybody in the group is like, oh, really? We heard this before, you know, a little bit irritated. It's like, perfect. Those of you that are having difficulty figuring out what it is that's bothering you, breathe, because we're going to find out that that's not super important. And then those of you that are a little irritated, are you breathing? Because how can you come into greater presence with whoever comes to you for support? So it doesn't matter where we're at, we're able to use this process across the board in every way. So you get to come into that presence that you are, no matter what you think, no matter what you judge, no matter what you're judged. Somebody might show up and judge, but we get to recognize that that doesn't mean anything about us. So we get to be free of all of it across the board. And we can still show up with our white gloves and our table set a certain way when some people come over, because it does not going to take away from how you want to show up in whatever it is, but you'll probably enjoy it more. You know, you'll just enjoy it more. How exciting is that? Okay. Thank you so much, Elfie. It is a living process. This whole thing is a living process. It's supposed to be. We're changing too fast for it to be a certain way. Transforming. Go ahead, Carmel. Oh, you're muted, hon.
Sorry there. Thank you. The part I like about the process is you don't have to know the story to fix it. You just need to understand and feel the qualities of whatever it is that comes up in you in your story. So you feel like you can apply it to many different facets. It doesn't just have to be, well, I had a fight over here, or I ran into this person over here. You just have to figure out what it's doing in your body and then breathe through that. And I feel like it really simplifies it and you can apply it to many different things. So that's what I like. And my sister-in-law's on here because she and I talk all the time about this stuff. And I wanted her to be able to experience it, but she's got to leave early. But I think I'll just send her the replay so
Okay.
that because I know you went through it on the last call. So
Sounds great.
Okay.
Welcome, Sri. I figured maybe that's where you showed up from. Figured Carmel probably invited you. So if you have to leave, is there anything that you are curious about or any questions that you have that I can answer before you have to head out?
Yeah, thank you. I'm just really curious about the process. So kind of like the elements of the process. And then I was just really wanting to see it, actually practice. So like observing the process itself. And I have to leave at it's 1:48 here my time. So not till like 2:15, but so yeah, those are just things that I was really curious about watching it kind of it unfold and what it's like. So
Okay.
thank you.
Well, awesome. How about we do that right now? Let's do freedom process because it's already been happening for you here. You've been hanging with all of these individuals that have been coming to greater self, and they've had so much accumulation drop away that just being in this space, it starts resonating through your cells, which is absolutely beautiful. But then we take it into this thing we call the freedom process. That's find it, feel it, free it, and allow it. So the find it is about finding tension. We find tension in the body, whether it's something that's paining us or something that's paining us, whether it's an emotion that just doesn't want to seem to lift. And then we feel it. Instead of having to go into the story, we look for the qualities because even emotions are stories. There are a whole bunch of uh, sensations and beliefs and all that we've translated as happiness or sadness or anger. So even the emotions are stories. We drop under that and we find the qualities. So if I'm feeling anger, I might feel heat somewhere in my body, or I might feel contraction somewhere in my body. And those are qualities. So we find it, we find the tension, and then we can identify the qualities, and then we start breathing into the sides of our body. So now I'm breathing into the sides of my body, which means I'm accessing all the dimensions, all the directions of my breath. I'm engaging all the systems in my body, the circulatory system, the digestive system, the cranial sacral system that gets our pineal gland open. The nervous system regulates it. We come out of fight or flight because we're breathing into the sides of our body. Then after we breathe into the sides of our body, allow is next. That means we get out of the way. We take our hands off and we let the information that came up reorganize, homeostatic reorganization. And nature does that. So the nature of us does that, not the identity. If we start grabbing again, we take it back into the accumulation. So it's find it, feel it, free it, and allow it. Is everybody ready? Let's do 10 minutes. Let's do it 10 minutes, okay? So the very first thing we encourage everybody to do is see if their feet are supported. Even if they're hanging on the ends of your legs, are your feet supported? Okay, here I am, my feet are supported. I'm looking at all 4 quadrants of my feet because this breath is a somatic move. So I'm wanting to engage this whole technology, this whole body. So I have my feet, they're supported. I look around my room, make sure nothing is going to threaten my life. And then I close my eyes. That takes me out of identity back into self. So everybody check it out. Anything threatening you in your room? Okay. Go ahead and be comfortable and close your eyes. And then you start breathing into your sides. You can use your hands for reference if you want, just to get the movement into your sides, because most of us are used to breathing into the front, breathing into the sides. Now, we haven't talked about attention, but chances are you can look in your body and you can find somewhere in your body that feels tension. It could be your whole body. You could feel a little bit of agitation on your whole body. It could be a little bit of pressure behind the eyes. And you breathe into the sides. Because we're energy masters, we can both look at what's happening in the body and focus on our breath at the same time. Now notice that tension. And notice that sometimes information will come to you, but all you want to do is stay with the qualities of it. Does it feel light? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel contracted, expanded? Does it feel dark or light? And you focus on your breath. Slow your breath down, breathing through your nose. Maintain movement into your ribs. Notice that you might even have a little sideways movement into your hips. Now, what's happening with that tension? Is there 10 points of tension in your body? You found them all? Focus on one. Breathing in. Noticing that the efforting happens with the breathing out. Noticing that as you breathe out, your tailbone tucks under just a little bit. Then as it releases and relaxes, the breath is drawn in again. And notice that tension. Have the qualities changed? Has it shifted at all? What do you notice? You don't have to know where that tension came from. You don't have to figure it out. It's okay. Just let it be. Beautiful. Just keep noticing. Sometimes that tension will increase, decrease, shift. If that tension has eased, take a check. Is there tension anywhere else? If it's increased, can you just stay focused on your breath? Sometimes it will increase before it decreases. If it stays the same, it's okay. We're just creating space so energy can move again. We don't need it to be caught in our bodies. It's meant to move. Breathing into the sides, noticing how those ribs allow for your back to release. Maybe even uncover more tension in the body. It's okay. Notice your breath. Notice the qualities of that tension. Now, if that brings you into your head too much, don't worry about it. Just notice there's tension there. and keep breathing. So beautiful. Allowing yourself just to feel it. Amazing that your body knows how to deal with this. Just noticing your breath. Now focusing on the exhale. A little bit more. That's where the efforting comes in. Maybe push a little bit more out. Tuck that tailbone under when you get all the breath out, and then just relax and see what happens. Notice that the in-breath happens with relaxing. That life force energy just floods in when you relax after the exhale. We come back to how you're meant to breathe, how you're designed to breathe. You were never designed to breathe with effort on the inhale. That just creates a whole bunch of holding and tension in your body. So focus on the exhale again and efforting, efforting, efforting. Some of you won't have much capacity. That's okay. And then relaxing, let that tailbone relax. And just notice how the inhale shows up for you. And try that a couple more times, efforting on the exhale. Even try pushing out a little bit more, like tighten up and push it all out, tailbone. And then relax, let that tailbone float back. And notice how the inhale joins you, meets you where you are. One more time. Really effort on the exhale. You can even crunch over a tiny bit if you want. Really push it all out. And then relax and let your body lengthen. You might feel a little movement coming through your body. That's okay. Notice that tension. It's always giving you information. It's no longer locked away. That information is there for you to allow for homeostatic reorganization so that your whole being gets to show up, not just the pieces that you force to or that you willpower to. Notice your breath. Notice how you do this, how the out breath gets easier when you actually put some effort into exhaling. And so does the inhale. Just like that. Let your hips that you're sitting on be a little heavier. And then do 2 more exhales with effort. After you're done, allow your eyes to open and come back into the room. What did you notice, Sari? If you want to share, there's never any forcing here.
Well, it's always wonderful to get back into my body, right? And so that's what I noticed, just the power of being in the body.
Mm. My goal with this, I know I'm not supposed to have any agenda either, but that we get into our bodies and we stay in our bodies. We never deny ourselves or leave our bodies again. There's so much beauty in just being completely in and using this technology. So thank you for sharing that. Because it's so incredibly beautiful to not have to deny or leave yourself. But I know we do that. We do that to survive. But let's take ourselves from surviving to being in a thriving mode instead. Because as soon as we come into freedom process, we come out of fight or flight or freeze or fawn, and now we're into source creativity. All sorts of beautiful, amazing, crazy, intense things can happen from that. Let's be there instead. Let's be there instead. Let's see what's possible. That's my take. Okay, open it up. What did you notice when you did that? And we just did a few minutes. Like, what was that like for you? Where did it take you? Everybody's just too relaxed.
I noticed things shifting in my body. So it started up here, it kind of went down. I just noticed a shift. So, and then relaxation was really nice too.
Awesome. We don't have, like, we're not looking for results. That's one of the things about freedom process is there are no result-oriented pieces. The beautiful thing is we're going into this not knowing exactly who we are, and that gets to reveal itself to us in a gentle manner so that we get to integrate it back into our lives. But I don't ever encourage anybody to say, okay, do freedom process so that you can have enough money to do life. Guess what will happen? It's a big block immediately. There's not the honesty that you can come in with. But what do I say? I say we do freedom process for the sake of freedom, and all those other things show up because we're now in source creativity the majority of the time. Everybody just think this one out just a little bit. If you're in survival, what kind of energy do you have to come into creativity? Creativity is a much more relaxed space. So as soon as you come into the body and you're able to stay in the body, because it's not so friggin' uncomfortable and we're not trying to get away from it, we're back into creativity. So all of a sudden your life is coming from creativity. I can't tell you what that's going to look like, which can be a little uncomfortable because you might be in the unknown a bit. But guess what? When you feel uncomfortable about that, we'll take it to the freedom process, and pretty soon you'll be more comfortable with being in the unknown. You'll be more comfortable being in that creative space, and all of life can evolve, can reveal, can open up for you. Not because you were result-oriented, but because you were shifted in your vibration. A vibration of lack can do nothing more than meet itself. A vibration of openness and creativity can do nothing but meet itself. That's as far as we've got, as far as what we understand when it comes to energy. But if you have a vibration of being hurt, the people around you can do nothing but meet that vibration. If you have a vibration of generosity, nothing can happen but meet that energy of generosity. So you change the vibration within yourself with freedom process, and then the outside world gets to start meeting you there. That's why we work as facilitators to meet others where they are, because that's how we can help create some space so that vibration can work itself out. Freedom process is much more than just breathing, but it's the most simple way to come back to ourselves that I have found so far. Now, if I find something that's more simple and more effective and more efficient, you can be the guaranteed the first person that's going to say something is me. Right then and there. And I am going to share my story a little bit because I started doing somatics like, whew, okay, aging a little bit, more than 30 years ago. Okay, more than 30 years ago. But the environment that somatics was taught in was so exclusive that I was like, no friggin' way. I'm not taking that out into the world because it's too icky. But I did it myself. I became my own facilitator right away. Fast forward 20 some years, 28 years, I'm doing The Work by Byron Katie. I'm doing that with other people too. And they're all like, I get it. You got so much out of this. Why am I not shifting? Why is something not moving? And it's very mental. There's some embodiment to it, but it's very mentally oriented. Well, I was doing The Work by Byron Katie, but I'd already embodied the freedom process. I'd already embodied the somatic pieces, but I wasn't doing it consciously. It was a living process in that I was just naturally doing that. So The Work by Byron Katie became extremely powerful for me because I was already embodied with the somatic piece, the breath. So I was doing that the whole time. I was doing The Work by Byron Katie, and I was encouraging others to do that because I was finding it super helpful. Well, they weren't finding it as helpful because they didn't understand the somatic breath. They had not yet come into that living process, which is the technology you live in. Comes along Jenny, and she's like, I don't get it. And she started asking me so many questions like, what's going on? What are you doing differently? What's happening for you? It gets drawn out from within. I'm like, I'm doing this alongside of everything else that I'm doing, so it becomes more efficient and effective no matter what I do. She kept asking questions. I kept coming into it. I kept remembering the pieces that I'd integrated 30 some years ago, that I spent a lot of time on the mat earning. Freedom process shows up. Now I wouldn't separate them ever, ever again, but it's about coming back to consciousness because I had been doing this living process for long enough that I no longer had to think about it. And that's what happens with everybody else too. It becomes who you are because you're designed to move that way. You're designed to breathe that way. So pretty soon you won't have to think about it the same way. It will just naturally be what you're doing when you're not thinking about breath. And then when something comes up that's a little challenging, you go into it consciously. Whew, things that bothered you for 5 weeks, 5 minutes, 5 hours, maybe a day or two. But you are now not accumulating more. You're creating space so that when something comes up, not only are you dealing with that something that came up, you're also dealing with the old accumulation from when that came up in the past. So you get free of all the stuff in the past as well when you're present with your breath in this moment. The more you do that for yourself, the more you can help others do that for themselves too, because we aren't healers. We just show up and help people find where their tension is. We just get really good at it. Freedom process. Seems like it's big, but it's really, really simple. And before long, it's what you'll be naturally doing because it's what you're designed to do. We breathe by design. Amazing. Okay. Every once in a while, I get going on a tangent and then I come back. It's like, what's up? What's up for you? What are you noticing? Perfect, Sari. Carmel, I'll share it with you. We're here. We're doing the freedom process. We're also, any questions are available, welcomed when it comes to the Freedom Process Facilitator program. That's what I'm here for. Any practitioners want to share that have not yet shared what their experience has been? Jenny, do you want to share this round? Maybe a couple things that you didn't expect.
Yeah. The piece that's been coming up for me the most that really took me deeper into dropping ways I was showing up that were designed from myself, from the identity pieces, to protect myself or to, oh gosh, be a certain way, was when we did the agenda intensive on masking. And the subtle nature of that, to this very moment, it still shows me where those pieces are in my life, where I either have something where, oh, I have to show up this way because this is what, like in the past, this type of label says, and that means you show up this way, or even in a lot of my relationships, just personal and with myself, catching myself. And many of the gals in here have spoken to how this year has turned everything from a lot of it must be out there to coming inward and reconciling a lot of those aspects that were just so I want to say subconscious or unconscious, but some of them weren't. Some of them were actually, I knew I was doing it, but there was an energy behind it that kept saying, but you have to keep doing this, because if you don't. And as we went through the year and just kept breaking down the walls gently, little by little, and opening and coming into that really, gosh, raw sharing and a lot of vulnerability with each other in ways that I thought I'd done before, but this really took it into a deeper level. Those masks, that some of them were just like thinly laminated over me. That's what it felt like. And there was like this delamination that had to happen where they were just like coming apart. And then once, we shared, especially in that intensive, and I'm just going to share from that one intensive because it was so incredibly powerful. It was some of the biggest relief I think I've ever experienced in my life, is to be able to speak aloud some things that I thought that I could never say to people.
What? Honey, especially if I need tonight. I was definitely gonna eat early.
And to show up as naked as possible. And so it brings you in, it brought me into a real deepening into my own self, to take a deeper look at places that I don't even think I knew it was there, but I always knew that I wanted to go that deep. And I've always wanted to go as deep as possible in my life. because I can speak for myself and maybe some people here can relate. I know there's always been something that has had more clarity in how to navigate through this world, but with everything that was overlaying on top of it, it was tricky a lot of times because I get tripped up by my own self and my own process. And it translated into when I would show up for people in whatever capacity, whether it was professional or personal. So yeah, that masking piece was huge. And the intensives, those agenda intensives, I think those are cornerstones of this program. The whole program's amazing, don't get me wrong. But those take us into such a beautiful dive together. Because who thought agenda? I've actually never had someone bring that up in any training I've ever done. Agenda. I didn't think I had agenda. Not funny. It makes me laugh now. It's like, oh my. But my whole life was a big agenda just to, keep shit here, keep it okay so I could be okay, so you're okay, and then stay in my safe little world. Yeah, we gaslight ourselves, Alfie. Totally. So I'm loving this. I'm loving that whenever anything comes up, I can bring it back into my own body. And there's days where I get my ass kicked by whatever's moving through. Like seriously, on my knees, my ass just whooped into a beautiful submission. And 3 or 4 years ago, I used to spin myself out of control because I had no way to stay centered in myself when the energy moved through so powerfully. And I would wreck myself for like weeks afterwards, just the nervous system trying to come back in itself. And now I can feel it and I can facilitate myself, or I can reach out to somebody and just say, and here's the beautiful piece. I've had it where someone just sat with me on the phone for an hour, almost 2 hours before, and said maybe 4 or 5 words, but just their presence. It helped. Because we're breathing together. And that's how powerful this can be. So we are sovereign coming together, but there's something really amazing to have someone else that knows this, that can sit with you and just ask little questions as they come up. So, yeah, it's life-changing and it continues to keep doing that. I'm really dropping pretending I know anything anymore, quite honestly. That just gets in the way.
Mhm. But the beautiful thing is you get to show up more fully than ever before.
Yep.
That presence allows others to come into what's, so valuable from themselves.
Yeah. To be able to see that and experience that in other people. My husband's mom is really going through it right now. She's probably close to dying, but it's a very long drawn out process that's happening. And I can say that if I didn't have this tool, I would be in there fixing, trying to help, trying to make him feel better, giving him all sorts of advice, food wise and mental, emotional, overextending myself, getting my hands all over it. And there's a lot of times when we go on walks and I just walk alongside him and breathe and just nod my head and let him talk and then ask him a question here and there. But I rarely, and I catch myself when I do now, tell him what he should do. I mean, it still happens, but I catch it right away. But in this instance, was something that's so right in our face right now, and seeing him having to move through this process because he's helping with the bulk of the stuff with her. It's pretty cool to be able to sit in my own space and truly support him for once.
Mm. Truly meet him where he is and bring your presence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Freedom.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is great. I'm so happy that you kept going with all your stuff and are willing to share it with us in a non-elitist way and telling us to go out and do the same thing
Right.
and not be afraid that someone's going to come tell us you can't do that. Like, you have to, who do you think you are? It's like, well, I know who I am because I've dropped so much stuff that
Yep.
why wouldn't I? It's really the new world, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not saying you have to have all these marks and certificates and freaking hours of training, which some things you do. Like, I get it with body work and certain things in certain states. I'm not saying don't do that, but there's certain things that are just humans are naturally inclined to be able to share with one another, and I feel like this is one of them. You don't need a fucking certificate for that. You don't. You do it and then you share it. We do it first, like everyone has beautifully shared, and then it gets shared. But I don't need to show you my credentials for it.
Mm.
Sorry, I'm done with that. I really am so done with that.
Well, you can't get credentials for being present.
Yeah.
There's no way to get that. But you show individuals your presence and it's felt, it's noticed, it's recognized, and you share that. And it's all we're doing is showing up with our presence and helping others come back into their presence for themselves and for their lives. It's not all we're doing, but it is. It's all we're doing. So it's what we get to do.
It's what we get to do. And I love that Sylvia, I am in the Take Your Power Back retreat. I'm pretty sure that's where she said it, where she said, I have my body, I have my breath. Some days that's my mantra. I walk around like a crazy woman going, I have my body, I have my breath. I have my body, I have my breath. I have my body, I have my breath. And it keeps returning it back to that. So it's really great.
Yeah.
Right?
And we use that all the time.
I know we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny.
And
Very
thanks
much.
to all the women that have been part of this and those to come. It's truly a village, community, ecosystem, whatever you want to call it. And all their roots are just coming in together, really, and nourishing each other silently or not.
Well, and I want to ask all the practitioners, and I'm really excited because Jewel's going to be joining us this year too. I want to ask, are you going to be okay with a couple guys joining us this year? Because that's happening. We're up in our game. Okay. I'm really excited to welcome a couple of individuals that let them be who they are, but their gender is different than female, so than woman, because female is something totally different, right? I don't want to say it in any way because there's no way that I can't say something that isn't quite. Anyway, I'm going to just go there. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to say, welcome, guys. All of you, women and men. It doesn't matter what your pronouns are here either. We're totally, absolutely welcoming it all. But don't expect me to not touch them. Okay, I'm just saying that because everything's open to play with so that you can be free in whatever it is. I know humans I don't know. I can't even tell you that one works, right? Okay, Jewel, go ahead.
Aloha. I'm so bummed I forgot I spaced that this was happening today. And so is there, I just have a couple logistical kind of questions. Are we going to be able to, can I rewatch like this, what's happening? Is there going to be a link or something, or
Yeah, I'll share it in Circle,
in
and then
Circle?
it'll
What's that
probably
mean?
be in the community, in our membership community area.
Holisticweaver.net
Yeah,
or whatever it is.
yeah,
The one where I asked the question that I've been, okay, cool.
that one.
Great. And then, so Jenny, that was really powerful sharing, Jenny, thanks. And, so I'm wondering, like, these intensives, are we gonna have like a calendar? Cause like the first 2 weekends of November, I've already got plant booked out. So I don't wanna like book things when there's gonna be things happening. Is that gonna be,
So how far out do you plan things? That would be my first question, Jewel.
well, whenever
A
I
little
need to plan
ways,
something,
huh?
I do it. What?
A little ways out. We try and get it out to you as often and as quickly as possible, but the very best way is check the coming events page, because I even post the facilitator agenda intensives on the coming events page. Jenny, can you just share the link for the coming events page in the chat? That's the best place, Jewel, to look. I need to get in there and get somebody in there and update what's coming up. But we're working on a calendar so you can see it as it's happening. So you can check. Everything we know is going to happen, we want to be able to put on a calendar. So we're working on that as quickly as we can, because I know it gets a little confusing. And if you take a look at the coming events page, you'll see that we've already got a couple of agenda intensives in there for the
So,
facilitators only.
oh, okay, yeah, because what's, I guess is a little bit, I'm not sure of yet, is what is included in the facilitator program, because it's like you get all these extra intensives and then the Thursdays or the, I don't know.
Any online intensives or retreats.
Okay.
Anything online that's an intensive or retreat.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The only thing that doesn't get included is the programs. So you'll see them labeled
Programs.
intensives, retreats, programs. So the Radical Abundance program, it's a 6-month program.
Oh, okay.
That's not included in the facilitator, but anything that's
Okay.
labeled online, intensive, or retreat, you have access to. Plus,
Okay.
you have access to those intensives that are just for facilitators.
Okay. Cool. Thank
Okay.
you. And then I have a question, just because I'm very confused about what I hear Oracle Girl Jacqueline say is sort of like, like shit sort of just happens and you can't like create it. It's just sort of like this random stuff. It feels like what she's saying, unless I'm wrong. And then you just like sort of let it go through you and just get on with your life, just like keep moving. And then, but what you're saying, and like, I'm working with Joe Dispenza also, and it's like, we're creating our life. So, I created this. And so it's like, how do I not create these kind of things? And how do I create? But what I hear her saying, and is sort of like, shit's happening. And so I'm a little confused. Do you know what I'm saying when she sort of says that kind of stuff?
I can only touch into it to the degree that I can understand it myself, Jewel. But here's the difference between how I do it and someone like Jacqueline Hobbs does it. In my understanding, okay? Because I'm not her. What's happened for most of our lifetime is that we've been accumulating energies. We've been accumulating thoughts. We've been accumulating, we've been gathering it up and adopting. Like if you grew up with a mother or a grandmother or a father that had beliefs, most of the time we grab those and we adopt them.
Yeah.
Now, if something new comes at me, I don't have to adopt that. I don't have to bring it in. Probably I don't have room because I'm already so stuffed full of things that I've gathered up. Now, if you've
Yeah.
gathered it up, you've already touched it. You've already got it in you somewhere. And we come in and we say, create space. And then that which isn't really true for you drops away. So all those adopted things that you gathered up because you were loved, because you were wanting to belong, because you were part of something, those are pieces that you have in you that could be in the way of your trueness showing up. And so when we create space and that drops away and the reorganizing happens, you're much clearer. So then something new comes in. You don't have to adopt it. It doesn't have to get stuck in you. It literally just falls away. So when we're not touching it, and you'll hear Jacqueline talk about, it isn't about non-action. There's still some things to do, but you
Yeah.
need to allow those things to come from within you to do. Not because you
Yes.
think it's the right way to go about it, or because that's going to make you a good person, or because those are the pieces like, let's bring those up and create space so those can fall away so that you can truly hear what is your action, what is your silence, what is your non-action. And I'm just full on practical in a way that I want you to be able to hear what's true for you and to live from that space and live instead of living from all of these accumulated pieces that become these lead blankets that we live under. And we can't even hear what's true for us. We don't even know. So for me, it's about, I don't want to touch it. Like, say somebody comes in today and starts freaking out and telling me that we're all going to la, 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 because this new thing comes in. Okay. If I don't have any accumulation, I don't even notice it. It doesn't resonate with anything. But if I already have a whole bunch of accumulation about fear of this new thing coming in, I'm going to be freaking out inside. So I've already touched it. I've already picked it up and it's already within me, or it's already around surrounding. So we get this space created and our self-healing ability just shows up beautifully. But if you
Nice.
have too much space, like, can you imagine a flower that's trying to bloom and you go and put a container over it?
Right.
Well, we're all these flowers blooming in life, but there's these tight, solid containers that we've picked up along the way. Guess what? I'm going to touch that to get it off so that I can express this fully. And this fully is technology, it's energy. So when you're working with Joe Dispenza, he's talking about energy. He's talking about you creating. Can you know yourself as the creator? And can you recognize that if you have this vibration that you don't like what's bringing it in, you can go in, breathe, find it, create space, and guess what it does? It breaks up and you no longer are holding that vibration anymore. It's just really sustainable. It's something you take with you. It's not complicated. There's not a whole bunch of extra big things you need to do every day or learn every day. Because the more you work with the freedom process, the more you're back in your body, the more you're in that somatic move, and the more stuff is just moving out of you that doesn't belong in you anymore.
It's the same as going to 0 point, right? I mean, the releasing the accumulation, and there's nothing there so that anything can happen then, because we don't have
That's
the,
where everything's available in the nothing. So you're right.
yes,
It's about letting everything move through you in this beautiful way so that you're not already caught in a way that you attract something or that a way that you address something.
yes.
Now you have this freedom to be completely creative in whatever direction you go.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you. That helps a lot.
Awesome. It does. It gets the energy moving. It gets it moving. So that we don't have to touch anything, so that everything comes in and it's exactly what it is, and we're not putting a whole bunch of judgment or meaning or making it into something. But you can't do that if you still have a whole bunch of accumulation within you. You just, it's almost impossible to leave the past in the past if you've got all of these meanings and all of these ideas and all of these feelings and all of these emotions piled on top of the flower. It can't bloom. So we get to come back to ourselves fully. Thank you, Jewel. Okay, Yana.
Okay, hello. I had a similar question, Joel, like practical, because I know that I want to be for the program, and as you ask, like how long in advance you need to know, I would say like until the next October, because I already have some clients which are signing for the May, and they always sign somewhere where I don't want them to sign because I have not blocked those spaces if I don't know that there will be intensives or something. So that's one thing for me, maybe it's my agenda to know like what's going, like maybe fear of unknown, because it gives me some structure to know in advance, and it also helps with coordinating with my work. But I wanted also to ask, you already, basically answered that, but I wanted also to ask, is there some, as if I understand it correctly, there will be calls and then some intensives for facilitators, but will there be like different, like assignment, which would be good to save the time, or or is it just being in the call and then work somehow, maybe journaling or something? It's just, I'm curious.
Um, Yes, there's a few things outside of the classes and the intensives, Yana, and you get to play with that in the way that works for you. But one of the first things that we do is get you partnered up with someone in the program so that you can be practicing doing freedom process sessions with another person. And we switch those partners every 6 to 8 weeks so that you get to work with different people and so that you can bring things back that you noticed or that you were wondering about or questions that you have. Now that's up to you and your partner as far as how much time. We always encourage you to spend at least a few different times with that partner. But again, it depends on what your life affords. And there's different times when you're busier that maybe you don't have as much time. And that serves your partner as well, believe it or not. So everything, we use everything. As far as doing freedom process, the amount of time we would spend together during the week or during intensives, that's a lot. But all those are recorded except for the sex intensive for women or men. Those are not recorded. We don't keep those replays. And so those pieces are always available to you to go back to listen to if you're not able to make one of the intensives live. So it's just a matter of knowing that you are sovereign and you take as much time as you like. Sometimes something might come up from the agenda intensives. I encourage people to, the facilitators, to take time after the agenda intensives to let things settle or to continue working through those topics or those pieces. But sometimes you come out of it and you're ready to go. So it just depends on what works for you. And you learn to, okay, I'm in this piece, I'm in freedom process, and I have to go do sessions. I'm going to set it back a little bit, go do these sessions, and then I can come back to it. So it doesn't have to take you out of your life in any way. But as far as the time away from the calls, if you think about average 30 minutes outside of the intensives and the facilitator calls a week, you're probably good to go. Because it might be just a session you do with someone else, your partner, or vice versa, every couple weeks. And that's amazing. So as far as the rest of it, the journaling, if you want to bring that in, because I always encourage you to pick up on the piece that's working for you, do whatever you do, and bring it back to the next call. Because we're actually working with one another during the facilitator calls as well. So 30 minutes average above and beyond facilitator calls and whatever intensives or retreats you want to participate in.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, it's as you're saying, like really good to be on the calls, because I try to hear some replays which I missed for some intensives, and it's different. And when you are, right at the intensives or the call, it's different as when you just re-listen it. So at least for me.
Yeah, it can be very much, very different. And then other times, we're going to try and do the replays, quite a few of them in audio, so that you can listen to pieces at a time. And then other times the replays can be even more powerful because something landed for you and you missed the next hour. All of a sudden you're just in that. So it's so dependent upon the individuals as to whether they want to do replays or whether you want to do it live. And I always encourage live because it's fun. I know to be uncomfortable isn't fun for most people, but what happens if we put that back on its feet and we can finding that discomfort and it dissipating is the most fun thing that we can do, and it gets us free. So I'm very much about that. Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. You're welcome. I'm just coming down to the chat really quickly here. Yeah, the power intensive, breath intensive, they're included. They're included in the facilitator. So again, any online intensives or retreats are included in the facilitator program.
So how
Not
do we sign up for those and like get
you,
on?
you don't have to. It
Oh, don't have to.
automatically, nope, it automatically gives you access, and then you have access to replays if you ever want to go back to them.
Okay, so just like how do you send me a link?
Mhm.
Oh, you'll send a link for all these class. We don't have to sign up, nothing. You're gonna send the links. Oh,
Nope,
cool.
all the online intensives and retreats you will get access to in the community space and through emails.
And okay, so you send the links from email, like hour ahead. Is there any way to do that a day ahead? Like, cause I
Normally
look
it
at
does
my
get sent
computer.
out a couple days ahead when you're a facilitator.
Oh, that would be great. Cause I don't like this morning, that's why I missed it. Cause I just finally looked at my email, 15 or
I'm going to
20 minutes
encourage you
ago.
to use your calendar.
Yeah, I need
Best
to.
as you can, but we will try and get, like, normally when we post the space for an intensive, anybody who's signed up for it, including the facilitators, will get that Zoom link immediately when we set up the space, and it will tell you what the date is, which is usually a week or two out.
Okay, because the first facilitator call is on the 24th, right? It's not till the 24th.
Well, the first one is the 16th.
Oh, the 16th?
Yes.
Oh, I had written down the 24th.
The 16th, but you wrote down the 24th because the 16th one is really early for you. It's like 6 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
probably
it's
why.
not till the 24th. It's like, oh, more than a week away. Okay.
So the 16th at 10 a.m. Mountain is the first call. And then the next call is the 24th at, that would be 8 a.m. your time.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That's why I had 24th. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yay. You're all set now.
Yeah. We'll see.
It's okay. We'll help it.
Thank you.
We'll get that calendar set up as soon as we can. Okay.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yes, Wednesday's time has stayed the same, Alfie, and I just have to talk to you and a couple others that are on different time zones to see if we shift it again 1 more hour, because when the time changes, it messes all of us up. I wish they wouldn't change the times. I thought they were supposed to be done with that by this year, but whatever. We will do our best. Okay, what time Mountain on the 24th? It is noon, Kyra. And it just alternates back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay? Until or if we change it. We're working on it. Okay, I am. You are up.
I don't think I have a question.
Okay.
Well, I do, but I don't know how I would. Anyway,
Is it a question that you can share in the community or in an email or?
I intend to be a participant, and I don't know how. And I am also going to my mom's. I wanted to share that tomorrow, I'm leaving tomorrow morning. And while I'm there, I usually have agenda when I'm going there. And there are, I don't know if this is exactly agenda. I'm not sure how you describe agenda exactly, but there are a few things that I have planned that I want to do when I get there. I mean, I would like to be on the Radabon call at 3 p.m. on Wednesday. I told my mom that. And, you know, so those are, I don't know if that's agenda exactly or just.
Well, no, I think you're just stating what you would like. Agenda is
More sneaky and coming in.
much more sneaky than that. Agenda is when someone is sick and you come in wanting to fix them.
Yeah.
Because when they're sick, you're not okay. You're experiencing fear at them being sick. So agenda is, I need you to be a different way in order for me to be okay. That's one version of agenda. Another version of agenda is, I'm not okay, so you need to treat me a certain way. That's another type of agenda. So agenda is much more sneaky. So when I'm talking about agenda, I'm not talking about, writing down what your day looks like.
Okay.
I'm talking about the emotional, the mental, the accumulative agenda that we have in order to get life to do it a certain way or people to do it a certain way. That's where the agenda comes in. When you can come to someone and they're sick and you have absolutely no agenda, there's usually no resistance because you're not trying to tell them how they need to be. So agenda can meet a lot of resistance and it can create a lot of war in you and others and you and others together. So that's what I mean by agenda. And I'm glad that you have an intention. Now you see what happens with it. Right? Yeah. Exciting. Very exciting.
And I'm also intending that when I go to my mom's, I intend to see where I am coming from agenda.
Ooh, you'll already be started. Good for you. Congratulations. Thank you for sharing that. It's really hard to be in relationship with ourselves and with others when we're coming from these incredibly projected and adopted pieces that aren't even coming from the trueness of us. So it can get a little bit intense for us. And I welcome you to notice those pieces and to do what? No matter what, you can always breathe into the sides of your body. Right? You always have your body and you always have your breath. Even if you're not sure if you're breathing into the sides of your body correctly. Keep breathing into the sides of your body, and do, whether it's the facilitator program or whether it's the breath intensive or whether it's some other intensive, get your body in alignment intensive. We talk about body dynamic, biodynamic, all the anatomy, all the pieces that allow you to get more efficient with breathing into the sides. But just breathing into the sides is the starting point. Just start there. Go ahead, Jenny.
Well, you kind of just said it, but with this next breath intensive, I've been taking some much deeper dives into the mechanics of breath, and especially the way we're doing it here, where it's the full circumference of the body. And it's my intention, to the best of my ability, to for myself included, to bring us in and deepen into more of the subtle nature of how there's pieces and areas of the body that are indeed designed to breathe this way, and coming into more quietness and going deeper into feeling, along with like the anatomy pieces that I shared before. But I'm really getting more inspired to bring it into like really how this body truly is designed to breathe this way, and how to bring it to that point so that, like Judy has said before, breathing is just happening through you, but it does it in the way where the body's actually doing it. No, Kiki, my cat's about to jump up here and she will, hold on. It won't feel efforting. That was close. I have all this stuff and she's just doing that thing. And it's amazing. I'm getting enlightened to all this incredible new stuff myself as I'm going through this, of we really are built to breathe like this for everything in the body. So I don't know how it's going to happen. I just know that I'm excited, and there's just a lot of beauty in these bodies this way that I didn't even know about, that I'm like blown away to tears sometimes, because we're already doing it. But then just coming into more of the nuances of it. So we'll see how it happens. But I just thought I'd share that because it's coming up at the end of this month, and it would be fun to have people there, just because the group really makes it really amazing when there's a group there doing it together.
Well, the facilitators are all included in this next one.
Yeah.
So it'll be great to see everybody there.
Yeah.
Let's deepen it for ourselves.
Yeah, and I may not even have as much like fun information. It might just be more deepening into these layers of the body and feeling more in this one, because I'm really getting that's where it's at. And it's fun to know how it's working, but to refine it this time around,
Yay.
refining and feeling more. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Any last burning questions? Because otherwise we're going to head out back into our lives and see what our feet do. That's the most important piece to me. What serves you? That's a great question to ask yourself, because I can't know that, and nobody else can either. And sometimes it's a little hard to hear, but we have to be willing to keep asking so that that can come from within us. Okay. Everyone get a comfy seat cushion. Haha. It's true. We spend a bit of time on Zoom. There's a reason I have a desk that goes up and down, because it helps me to handle some of these pieces. We spend a lot of time together. We get to know one another fairly well. which is beautiful to me. There's an intimacy that is so powerful to take into the rest of your life. That being said, you've always got your body, you've always got your breath in the main membership area, Holistic Weaver, which I'm going to just state might be changing. It might be a breath that you need to take, but that's okay. The work will still be the same. There's always the freedom process area. It's open and available to all. If you're wondering more about this process, go there and check it out. I think everybody here knows that, but anybody listening to replays, check it out. It's in the complimentary membership area. You can always access it from the website. And we'll post that with the replays. Okay. Yana, did you have another question?
Yes, I have just it came to my mind that I know that is planned the in-person retreat in Hawaii, but I really don't have the resources to go there. But I was just thinking, like, is it kind of like, like important to get there as a facilitator in the facilitator program, or is it okay to miss that in person?
It's okay to miss that in person. Okay, that won't be the only in-person thing we do this year. There might be something that works at a different time. There will be facilitators there and there will be individuals that aren't facilitators there. So we'll be working with whoever's there. It, as far as the facilitator program, we're there for you. And then it's about having eyes to be able to look at everything else that's being done from not just for you to participate, but also from the perspective of a facilitator, how you could present something. So when it comes to that, a live one would probably be beneficial at some point, but it's not imperative to be part of it. Okay. It's pretty, contained. So yeah, we will be having other ones on the mainland in 2025. Not sure yet when or even where, but we'll see how that happens. Let's get this first one going first. Yeah, and I get it. We're all coming into more of all of it. Let's get some accumulation out of the way because Radabun is all about that. I used to think money came on trees. No, most of the time it was made of paper. Not so much anymore. Canada, it's plastic and there's coins and stuff. But where did they think the paper came from? Now I wonder about it coming from thin air if there's no accumulation in the way. I don't know, just saying. I can't wait to see you on this path in the way that your feet bring you to it, okay? I will see you all soon. Mwah. Have an amazing, amazing rest of your day, okay? I'll talk to you soon somewhere. Bye for now.